Hey.
I'm getting an error.
What's up? Welcome back to the blockument.com. I'm over here vibing on the intro song and stuff. All right. So, welcome to the Blockument.
Yeah.
Crypto education through everyday conversations. And I said it today without even reading the script.
Yeah.
I'm finally learning it after like 20 plus episodes.
Yeah.
And we're 20 plus episodes in at this point.
Yeah, we sure are. And we almost had our first technical difficulty, but my phone and I saved the day, so don't worry about it.
I memorized the tagline, and you've gotten over the tech hump.
Yep, and now I'm IT, so don't worry about it.
All right. You run our new security protocols.
Perfect.
Welcome back, everybody. Hope you're having an awesome Sunday morning.
Because we certainly are.
We certainly are, and if you weren't, hopefully this changes it all. And if you're not listening to it on a Sunday, then happy
whatever day it is.
Ends in Y day.
Yeah.
What block height are we recording this at?
Okay. We skipped our introductions.
Oh, man. See, you get some things right and you get the rest wrong. It's because I'm hyped up off this coffee. It's not even my breakfast bourbon.
Yeah, right. Don't believe me, folks.
Let's go right. Let's go back a little bit. Hey, everybody.
Hi.
I'm Nate Talbot, the Executive Director of Detroit Blockchain Center. And to my right is...
I am Ashlee Rose. I am your everyday mother. I am an online reseller, and I'm on a journey to figure out what is going on in the crypto, Bitcoin, blockchain world.
We all are.
Yeah.
I think you're not going to be able to say that too much anymore.
I'm going to still say
You're going to be like, I'm beyond my journey. I'm in the middle of a...
I am the journey.
I am the journey. All right, now what block height are we at?
Oh, look at that. In that time, we did a new block. So that's good news. Okay.
Oh, yeah, just now.
So we are on block number 800,936. And the block size was 1.81 megabytes, which is 4,721 transactions. And the total fees and subsidies were 6.332 Bitcoin, which totals $185,990 US. And the winner of that is Antpool.
Antpool in the house.
Yep.
All right. I had a quick question for you that I think some people might ask.
I'm sure you do.
I often say, what's the block height? Do you know why do we say block height?
I know that you've answered this before. Because it's the block that's on top of all the other ones.
The block that's on top of all the other ones.
Like the newest block, and it's on top of the ledger.
Yeah, that's just the way we think about blockchains, right? Whether you're talking about proof of work or proof of stake or whatever, there is no height, right? Wow, there's something's going on right now because
you're just mining out of control.
Within 3 minutes, we just got 3 blocks confirmed. That's a lot.
At least it happened after I was able to get the first block out.
We call it block height because the further it's the language we use, right? So it's like a block is confirmed when that's a settlement. When a new block is confirmed, we say height because we think of it like being buried. And the deeper you bury a block, the harder it is to unbury it to change it.
Okay.
Right? And so the more secure it is, the more you can be confident that the information in that block is valid and that you have the correct information. So most chains, we've talked about this a little bit before, right? This is why when you're doing peer-to-peer, if you're using like an exchange or something, when you send actual crypto, they'll say you need X amount of block confirmations before we actually allow you to do anything with this. You told us you gave us 1,000 XRP, but we need like 60 confirmations to be sure you're not scamming us. And so you think about burying it, and that's why they say height, even though it's not like a blockchain is vertical. It doesn't actually get taller.
Right. Yeah, that was absolutely a better answer than mine.
Yeah, well. So, anyway, what are we talking about today?
We are talking about something that I didn't even think about as a topic, really, until it was brought up. Basically, do blockchains talk to each other? Should blockchains be sharing their secrets with other blockchains? And can they?
Sharing their secrets with the world.
Like, can they talk to each other? Yeah, I don't know. So don't ask me a question, okay? I'm just kidding.
I'll make a statement instead. Ashlee is about to share with us all
Oh, jeez.
whether she knows of any blockchains that can talk to each other. Ashlee?
Do I know? Over to you, Ashlee. Do I know of any blockchain? I do, because of the way you framed that question. You're probably like, oh, but you do. La, la, la. None that I can think of off the top of my head. I mean, do they talk to each other? I don't know. It makes me think of oracles, but I don't know if that's like what I should be thinking about. And then what else? I don't know. I think of maybe bridges. I'm thinking of maybe all the wrong stuff or all the right stuff. I'm not sure.
I think you're thinking of everything that somebody would be thinking of in that regard, but I would say that's not really what people mean when they say talk to each other. So the short answer is some do already. The question of should they is a much more speculative question. And whether or not, I think, to add layers to this, I think whether or not they should or shouldn't is irrelevant, because if you can they stop you from doing it? And I think we should rewind back a little and step through that step by step so we can get it.
Yes,
so
please.
what we're talking about generally is interoperability. So you might have heard the interoperable word. Everything you mentioned has to do with that. So bridges, especially bridges, oracles hint around to it. There's these things called atomic swaps, right? You might have heard the concept of wrapped.
Yeah.
You have wrapped Bitcoin, wrapped ETH, wrapped Avalanche, wrapped USDC, wrapped all these things.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. What does interoperability mean? It just really means, can this one thing communicate with another thing? When you're talking about computers, right? Think of Macs and PCs. Can my Mac talk to your PC?
I don't think so.
Yes, they can.
Oh, they can.
Yes, they can.
Wait,
it
like
used to be
AIM, like that, like that talking.
like AIM, like AIM, like toothpaste. I don't know what we're talking about.
Yeah, like if I'm over here on a PC and you're over there. Hey,
Oh, like AIM, like the Yahoo Messenger
or
thing.
you mean like the actual?
No, the actual computers. Can my computer talk to yours?
Okay. Still, I don't.
And yes, the answer is yes. It used to be very complicated because they had different languages, right? A Mac is built off of this Unix. This is very techie, and you don't really have to understand what I'm talking about. But PCs used to be based off of I don't know what their core language was, but they used DOS as the intermediary language in its own operating system.
Sure.
But Windows is sort of Windows. Macs use Unix, which is sort of like Linux, which is based off like this open source software stuff. And it's like asking, hey, can this person who speaks German speak to somebody who speaks Portuguese? And on its face, no, you can't, right? Because they can talk to each other, but they don't know what the hell they're saying.
Right.
And so you figure out ways to bridge that gap in communication. And it's the same thing with blockchains. You have to figure out a way to bridge that gap in communication. And so let's take Bitcoin and Ethereum, because those are always the two I bring up, right? So Bitcoin is a self-contained blockchain, right? The only thing Bitcoin at its current state, at this block height, even though we're flying through block heights, I'll slow down a little, but at this block height, right, Bitcoin only knows what's happening on Bitcoin, right? Every Bitcoin that was ever minted was born on the Bitcoin blockchain. A Bitcoin coin does not represent anything external to the Bitcoin blockchain. And so when you have a Bitcoin, it was born on chain, it will live its whole life on chain. You can check its provenance, its history, all the way back to the time it was born, from block 0, block number 1, all the way up to now, right? That's Bitcoin's world. Ethereum, on the other hand, only knows what's going on in the Ethereum ecosystem. So you can have some ETH tokens, but all they know is what's happening in the ETH world. And the only things they can interact with is other things within the ETH world, like ERC20 tokens, which are built within the Ethereum round, right? So Ethereum knows all of that stuff. So you got Ethereum and ERC20s and all it knows. But Ethereum doesn't know what's going on in Bitcoin. Bitcoin doesn't know what's going on in Ethereum. They can't talk. One speaks German, one speaks Portuguese.
Okay.
Right? They have no idea what each other is doing. So when you talk about interoperability, you're talking about how can we get Bitcoin to talk to ETH and ETH to talk to Bitcoin.
Right.
Right? And maybe they don't talk to each other. Maybe Ethereum just learns how to speak Bitcoinese and then does things from that. But Bitcoin has no idea about Ethereum or vice versa, right? That's also possible. That's the current world of blockchains. That was the original state of blockchains. Are we still on the same page?
Yes.
All right. Now, over the past few years, you have a couple chains that are like, well, we're going to live in a multi-chain world. I'm quoting the multi-chain, right? Because then it's like, what does that sort of mean? So you have some people who believe there's going to be one blockchain that rules them all. I think that's probably definitely true for proof of work type blockchains for the most part, because of how proof of work works, which we won't get into here. But as you learn more about proof of work, it doesn't really, there's security risks in having more than one proof of work chain, because it's easy to attack other chains. Again, we won't get deep into depth. If you want to know about it, hit us up and ask us, and we'll do an episode on how proof of work works. However, on proof of stake, that's not as much of a threat, right? Because everything in proof of stake is already sort of internal to itself. So you could have dozens and dozens of proof of stake chains as long as there's enough of an economy to support it. There's nothing inherently, if you do proof of stake Ethereum, there's nothing inherent about doing proof of stake on Ethereum that could attack proof of stake on Avalanche, right? So some people are like, proof of work is the only thing. And since that's the only thing, you can only have one. And if there's only going to be one, it's going to be my chain. And since that, you can't have a multi-chain world. Other people are going to be like, well, no. Maybe with proof of work, they don't believe that. And definitely if they're a proof of stake system, like, well, that doesn't apply to us. We're going to have a multi-chain world. Then you have some chains like Cosmos, and I think Avalanche is structured now to be like this. And the one I can never remember that's always popular, I always forget the damn name of this blockchain. It's a very Polkadot. Polkadot and Cosmos definitely set up this sort of interchain world. So I'm going to use Cosmos because I'm most familiar with that system.
Okay.
But they all generally work in the same, just approach it technically different. So Cosmos says if you're a Cosmos chain, there's Cosmos, the token, right?
Okay.
Then there's Cosmos SDK, which is this blockchain architecture. All right?
Okay.
We're talking about Cosmos SDK, not Cosmos the blockchain.
Okay.
All right? Which is built off of Cosmos SDK, but they're just separate, especially for this conversation. The Cosmos approach is, look, Ethereum says you're going to have one blockchain and you're going to build a bunch of applications on top of that. And then those applications can talk to each other because they're on the same operating system, which is Ethereum.
Right.
Right? It's like I'm going to have a Mac, and then I can have any application in it because it's using the Mac to talk to each other.
Right.
Cosmos is like, that's not going to be good for Ethereum, right? Because it's too much. You're going to have these scalability problems. You're going to have these a lot of different issues with everybody trying to pull from the same resource, because you have to think of blockchains as a public good, like a lake, right? This common one good that people are going to draw from it. And if you're doing something like Bitcoin, theoretically, where all you're doing is money, it's like, all right, we're just sort of doing base money, right? We're not trying to do DeFi. You're not trying to do it on-chain. And so maybe there's a way to scale that easily without causing too much conflict. With Ethereum, it gets a little bit tougher because you're not just doing base money. You're doing base money, plus you're doing a total finance structure with NFTs and DeFi and people trying to do identity tokens and all these different things. There's a lot more pull on that public good resource. I said like a lake, but you could also think like electricity. Texas goes down all the time in the winter because so many people draw from this grid.
Yeah.
And the grid can't handle it. So there's that concern with like something like Ethereum. What if the grid can't handle it, right? So Cosmos is like, well, you have that approach. What if instead of having one blockchain that all these apps are built on that then can communicate with each other, instead we build this blockchain architecture that everybody can sort of use the base design. You can add and remove features as you so need to. But now, if you have an application, you just generally start your own blockchain, right?
Okay.
So you have your whole chain, and then that chain, because you're using this language protocol, right? That chain, if it chooses to, can flick this sort of switch, and it can talk to every other Cosmos SDK blockchain.
And that's because it's within the
It's because it's built within the system, right? But they're all unique. They're sovereign blockchains. Each one is their own little nation, and you have the chain. So for an example, if you've ever used Binance Smart Chain, Binance has like 2 blockchains.
Okay.
People don't really know that. There's the Binance chain, which is basically a copy and paste of Ethereum, right?
Yep.
That all you really do is hold the tokens, and you can stake the tokens or whatever.
Is that one BNB? Is that
Yes.
Okay.
And then you have Binance Smart Chain.
Okay.
That's the one where like all the activity is, where people are minting NFTs and doing their own DeFi stuff and all that. That is built off of a version of Cosmos SDK.
Okay.
It literally is Cosmos SDK built on that they modified. Now, they won't turn the switch on. They just don't want to.
Because they want to be like...
Right. And maybe they've modified the code so much at this point, they can't. I don't know, because it's a very centralized sort of system. I don't even know if it's public or not. But they are a Cosmos chain, Binance Smart Chain. Same thing with KuCoin's blockchain, which is another exchange. These are all Cosmos. Almost every exchange that has a token, it's a Cosmos SDK chain.
Oh, wow.
And all of them, if they chose to, the only one that I know that does do it is Crypto.com.
Okay.
You can flick the switch on, and you can then talk to every other Cosmos SDK system that flicked the switch on. It's almost like Star Trek. If you ever watch Star Trek, they have like the little communicator in their ear so they can talk to different species.
Oh, wow. No,
and the communicator just lets you just translate. Everybody can talk in their native language, and it translates it for them in their ear.
Wow, nice.
Right? So it's sort of like that with Cosmos. Polkadot works something similar. I think Avalanche has something similar as well.
But you have to opt in order.
But you have to be part of that. You have to opt into the communication. Well, in Cosmos, you have to opt in.
Right.
I'm not sure about Polkadot and Avalanche.
Okay.
So that's your interoperability. So it's like, are they sharing their secrets? They're built to do that. Because I have an app, you have an app, but now we want to do DeFi. Right? So I have an app that only does stable coins, and you have an app that has an exchange, and then Alice has an app that has NFTs. And we want to connect. We all turn on the channels, and now I can trade the stable coins I generated for NFTs using your exchange because we all talk and it's native. And if you architect it right, right, you can do this in a permissionless, trustless way. Censorship-resistant way, right? It sort of meets those characteristics that you want, which is powerful, right?
Can I ask you a question?
No.
So
I'm talking here.
So when, do not interrupt me. So when we're saying, or when you were saying like talking, what exactly are we meaning by that? Are we meaning like you can trade this coin for another coin and that's talking, or are we saying like,
Yes.
yep, that's it?
Basically, because that's all a blockchain is really good for, is having these unique property assets.
Okay.
And keeping track of those unique property assets. So let's make some further clarification, right? There's a world of things you can potentially do with blockchain technology, right? Or that you can at least try to do. We're going to make the assumption we're not dealing with real world assets. I'm not talking about deeds right now on a blockchain because that's created externally. I'm not talking about music because that's created externally and placed on. There has to be trust that what you put on chain is on chain, right?
Right.
But we can talk about NFTs that are born natively. So like if you think on the Ethereum world, CryptoPunks, they are born on chain. So a lot of people, criticism, a lot of NFTs are, well, it's just a link to a picture on a server someplace else. That is true for most NFTs because it's expensive to keep the picture on chain. Okay. CryptoPunks is on chain. So you're not getting a link to some external. If you got a CryptoPunk, it's born on chain. You can track it from its birth. You don't have to trust anything about it, right? Okay. Same thing like if you're on Bitcoin and you're doing something like an inscription or something. They're sort of on chain. They're not linked off chain. Okay. As long as you're doing on-chain assets. So we're only talking about on-chain assets for clarity. Okay. And then, of course, any token that you do, if you're making your own token for something that is on-chain, it's born on-chain, does whatever, right?
And then we're also only talking like Cosmos.
Well, we're starting with Cosmos, but this applies for everything, right? Okay. For all of this conversation, we're talking about assets that are born on-chain because once we go off-chain, a lot more speculation comes into play that we won't jump ahead to get there.
Well, that's what I'm trying to understand, like this. So if you have like an NFT that you got from the Cosmos, I guess you call it ecosystem?
Yep, we got Alice Chain, and she makes NFTs.
Right, and let's say you wanted to trade that for... like
Nate coin.
Yeah, like Nate coin. You're saying the talking would be, hey, let's swap. Like this one NFT is worth like 7 Nate coins. So
let me bring up a problem.
Okay.
Right? Before we get to the solution.
Okay.
You have an NFT. NFT stands for?
Non-fungible token.
And fungible means?
Question mark.
Fungible means question mark. It's a non-question mark token.
Yeah.
Fungible means not unique.
Okay.
Right?
Oh, yes, that's right.
Right? If I got a dollar bill and you got a dollar bill, we can swap it and we still both have a dollar bill.
Okay, yes.
But if I have a Picasso and you have a Basquiat, if we swap, we haven't done a fair trade.
I feel like I need to be told this like 78 more times, but one day I'll get it.
Yeah, well,
one day I will get the applause.
It takes 85 times. So a non-fungible token, right, is supposed to be unique.
Right.
Now, if it's an open source, if it's a public blockchain, permissionless and trustless, it means it's also open source, right? You have, Alice has the NFTs, right?
Right.
It's Alice Chain. She makes these NFTs. It's the hottest thing in the world. It's bigger than Bored Apes and all that, right?
Yeah.
It's the hottest trend, but it's open source. So I take that and I copy it. Okay. I copy the whole blockchain.
Yeah.
That means now there's 2 of these NFTs because I copied everything.
Yeah, that sucks.
It does suck, but now which one is the real one?
Well, right.
Right? That's an issue with anything non-fungible. Which one is the real one? And then let's say I have Nate coin and you have Alice NFT and you want to take your Alice NFT and move it over to my chain so you could do DeFi or something because I can do DeFi with Nate coin. You can't do that with Alice chain. If you have to find, how do you get that NFT off your chain onto my chain without duplicating the NFT? Because if you duplicate it, you've just killed the non-fungible part.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And so here's a real-world example. Ethereum recently migrated from proof of work to proof of stake. The proof of stake is an entirely different blockchain than the proof of work. It's a whole different blockchain.
Right.
You had a bunch of DeFi happening on Ethereum proof of work.
Right.
So I took out a loan, right? I put in some Ethereum in Aave, which is a lending protocol built on Ethereum,
Okay.
right? I put in one Ethereum and I borrowed, let's say whatever the market price is, I borrowed $500 worth of USDC. I don't know, doesn't really matter, a stable coin. I borrowed $500 in the stable coin, right? So I got $500 of a stable coin, right? Which are supposed to be backed 1-to-1 by dollars,
Right.
right? So now I can take that 500 USD and go trade them for $500, physical dollars, right? Now Ethereum forked, and it has a new proof of stake chain.
Right.
It copies it. All a fork is it copies itself. It's copy and paste.
Right.
Technically, now I have $1,000,
Yeah, that's
but only $500 is backing it.
yeah.
Which ones are the real ones?
Well,
Can I get $1,000? Did I just poof make a $500 out of thin air?
wait, but did you?
It depends on how it's backed. But this becomes the problem. You see the problem. It's about the problem here, right?
So-
The problem is not how do you deal with that. Well, whoever is backing that 1-to-1 USDC or Circle in this
Right.
in this specific case has to make a declaration. We only are going to respect USDC that's off the proof of stake chain or off the proof of work chain. They have to make that declaration.
So does that proof of work chain still exist?
Technically, yes, as long as more than one person is still mining it,
Is more than one
or
person?
one person is still mining it.
Is somebody mining it?
I know they tried. I don't know what the current state is. They were trying to make it a thing, ETH proof of work. Some exchanges even started picking it up. But this was the problem with that.
Yeah.
Theoretically, that could work. When Ethereum first split, there's Ethereum Classic and Ethereum Now. And that whole thing with the DAO, go look it up or ask us and we'll do an episode on it or something, happened. Ethereum had to do another fork. They hard forked. They were still proof of work, but they had to do a hard fork, which unlocked all the ETH that was locked up during that sort of attack.
So it's been forked 3 times?
This was the third official hard fork, yeah.
Okay.
I mean, Ethereum forks all the time,
Oh.
but as far as contentious forks, this was the third. It is nowhere near as contentious as like that first one. This is the second one. There was the DAO fork, and then there's this one. So
What
there
do
are
you
two
mean by
major forks.
contentious?
A lot of people in the community weren't for it,
Oh, okay.
right? So the DAO happened. You needed to unlock the ETH, but the only thing happening on Ethereum back then was ETH. There was just ETH.
Yeah.
There weren't really any dApps that meant anything. There definitely weren't stable coins. There definitely wasn't DeFi, right? None of that stuff was happening. And so they forked. And so you have ETH Classic and Ethereum. And if you held Ethereum Classic is the original Ethereum,
Okay.
all right? I don't want to get too far off and lose you or anybody else.
Meaning proof of work?
But this is all proof of work.
Okay.
In 2016,
Okay.
Ethereum had its crisis. It was proof of work. And there was an attack on a DAO, the first DAO. And they had to say, do we live with the attack and lose something like 20% of all Ethereum in existence? It might even be bigger than that. Or do we do a fork and they didn't really reverse, but they quasi-reverse it. Do we undo the hack?
Yeah.
A lot of people in the community was like, no, code is law. Sucks.
Yeah.
Lesson learned. Stop writing
and
shitty
it tightens up
programs.
The code. Yeah.
Right. Or do we reverse it, quote unquote, because it didn't really reverse, but do we reverse it, unlock the money so people aren't pissed off with a loss and then never come back to Ethereum? This really could have killed Ethereum.
Yeah.
Right?
So it sounds like they did reverse it.
Well, they did reverse it, right? And that's the Ethereum everybody knows sort of today.
Okay.
Ethereum Classic is the original version. The DAO still has lost all that money in the original version, right? So you forked, but all you forked, and this is what's relevant to the conversation, all you forked was Ethereum, right? So if you were there and you had that locked up and you came back, let's say I didn't do the DAO, I had Ethereum. Now, if I had 1,000 Ethereum tokens, Now I have 1,000 Ethereum tokens and 1,000 Ethereum Classic tokens, right? So I've doubled that money supply. But Ethereum's fungible, right?
Yeah.
There's never a claim that one Ethereum token is very unique to every other Ethereum token, ETH token. So it is what it is. Now, if the market says ETH Classic is garbage, the price of those Ethereum tokens will drop.
Right.
Which is what happened.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And most people follow the new Ethereum chain.
Right.
And that is the continuation. So even though that is the fork, that is the real Ethereum, because that's what the majority said. That's what consensus was.
Okay.
This happens in Bitcoin. This happened in Bitcoin like 50 times between 2016 and 2018.
Oh,
right?
Wow.
So this happens, right? That was simple to solve. Now, when they did the next fork, which was moving from proof of work to proof of stake,
Right.
the stakes were higher. No pun intended, but accepted.
Yeah.
The stakes were higher because it's not just ETH that you're cloning. When you move over to proof of stake,
Yeah.
you basically have to blow up proof of work because you got NFTs. They're supposed to be unique. I have a Bored Ape. I don't have a Bored Ape. Don't come right. Well, it's not really worth as much anymore, so you wouldn't. But I don't have a Bored Ape. But if I had a Bored Ape
Yeah.
on proof of work, when Ethereum cloned to proof of stake, now I have 2 Bored Apes of the same thing.
Yeah.
So I either just cut the market value of my Bored Ape in half because now there's 2,
Yeah.
or we have to come to a consensus that this proof of work one is garbage
Yeah.
and it doesn't count for anything. It exists out there as long as somebody's mining it,
Yeah.
but it's not. When you're talking about Bored Ape, that is no longer a Bored Ape. This is a problem with non-fungible stuff. This is a problem with doing like lending and DeFi on blockchains and things. This is a real, because there's this language barrier,
Yeah.
right? How can I have 2 of something that I'm supposed to have
But
one of?
if the other one that was proof of work, if it doesn't have any value, like if the consensus is that it doesn't have value and the price drops, then that there might be 2 of them, but the price of that is what's like worth nothing. But that's not the point. The point is that it's supposed to be only one.
There's supposed to be only one. So you got a house. Your house has value because it is unique. You're sitting on this unique corner that's a high traffic corner, and all of a sudden I copy and paste your corner.
Yeah.
Now there's 2 of them.
Yeah.
Which one's the real one?
Right. Interesting.
Right? So this is why we say we can't talk about real world assets, because it adds all this new complicated layers. Already complicated enough with just on-chain stuff. So with the Ethereum, the recent Ethereum fork moving to proof of stake, the consensus was there was a small group of people who were like, ooh, we want to run proof of work Ethereum, and we're going to have a whole new token. It'll be P-ETH, or I think that's what they were calling it, P-ETH, or ETH POW. I think that's what they were calling it. That would be the proof of work chain. That doesn't work, though. Unlike ETH Classic, that didn't work because you've lost all the value.
Right.
Stable coins, any backed stable coin is a centralized thing.
Right.
So Circle and Tether and any other stable coin that's on ETH was just like, we will not redeem any of our stable coins that are on ETH proof of work. You can only redeem your stable coins for proof of stake.
The new copy of
The new copy.
Okay.
We are disregarding the old ones. The fork happened. If you had the old one, you got the new one. You don't have to take any action. Just don't try to cash both. We'll only accept the proof of stake one, right? So it killed the idea of proof of work.
Okay.
All right. So you have this cloning problem. That's just with one chain. Okay. Now, do you see the difficulty one chain has just in and of itself?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Now let's try to say, okay, we got ETH and we got ETH proof of stake, right? ETH proof of stake, no other version of Ethereum exists, right? We love DeFi on Ethereum, but we really, really, really want to do Bitcoin and DeFi on Ethereum.
Okay.
Can I get Bitcoin off of the Bitcoin network and onto the Ethereum network?
And that would be the talking aspect of it.
That's the talking aspect.
Can Bitcoin talk to Ethereum
Right.
on its network?
Correct. or more importantly, can Ethereum understand what's, at the very least, can Ethereum, because that's where the activity has happened, can Ethereum convince Bitcoin can it understand the Bitcoin, what's going on in the Bitcoin ecosystem, and can it convince Bitcoin that these tokens are going to this address and they can't move unless something on Ethereum tells them to move? Can Ethereum or a wallet on Ethereum control a Bitcoin address?
So, can Bitcoin take directions from Ethereum's code?
Yes.
Okay.
Right. If you want to have Bitcoin on Ethereum,
Right.
vice versa if you want to go the other way.
Right. Okay.
Right.
So the situation would be like somebody thinks that there's only value in Bitcoin, and so they want to do DeFi with their Bitcoin, but the only way to do it is on Ethereum. And so they're like, I want to maintain my value in Bitcoin, but I want to do finance.
Right.
Okay.
Like I want to take out a loan. I don't want to sell my Bitcoin. I want to loan against. I got a Bitcoin. I got one.
Right.
I want to put it on Ethereum. Right. Right now we'll go off the market rate of about $30,000 for a Bitcoin.
Okay.
I want to borrow $10,000. I want to put. I'm stepping on her feet over here.
Okay. I don't need those anyways.
Yeah, right. You only need the bottoms. I'm going to take my one Bitcoin. I'm going to put it on Ethereum and hold it there. I'm going to borrow $10,000 against it. I'm going to take those dollars, those stable coins. I'm going to cash them out for real dollars. I'm going to take that $10,000 and go buy something in the real world.
Okay.
And then one day I'll have enough money, or the price of Bitcoin will go up so much against the stable coin that I can unlock my Bitcoin and bring it back. Right. So I get my
Essentially
loan.
pay off the loan and get
My Bitcoin back, and then put it back on the Bitcoin network. Right.
Okay. Very good.
So can I do that is the question. That's the whole question. Right? Can we
yes.
do that? No.
No, I thought you could like wrap it.
Not in a permissionless, censorship-resistant way.
Oh, really? So wrapping is
not in a non-technical, censorship-resistant, permissionless way. So there's a couple tricks people have used, right? There's these things called atomic swaps.
Okay.
All right. What atomic swaps allow you to do is directly that. It allows you to basically trick the chains. And so like you're taking your Bitcoin, you're locking it up into an address, and then you're showing Ethereum this, and Ethereum's minting you the wrapped this Ethereum. It's really for a coin-to-coin swap. Like you're not taking Bitcoin and wrapping it on Ethereum. You're saying I got right now, I'm just making up numbers for ease of math, but let's say Ethereum's worth 10% of what Bitcoin's worth right now, right?
Okay.
So Bitcoin's 30,000, so ETH is 3,000. All right. I don't want to take Bitcoin and move it to Ethereum. I just want to take my one Bitcoin and get 10 Ethereum tokens. I just want to trade. An atomic swap will allow you to do that, right?
Okay.
I won't get into the tech.
So it's
how that works, but that's a trade that allows you to trade without using an exchange. You can trade one Bitcoin for 10 Ethereum tokens in a quasi.
And do you still get to keep your Bitcoin?
No, you just traded it.
Okay.
Now you got 10 Ethereum tokens.
Okay.
You don't have any Bitcoin.
Okay.
So that's one way people have gone about, but it's very technically sort of complicated to do. You're not going to find a wallet that's going to allow you to just swap it like that. But that's not what a lot of people want to do. What a lot of people want to do is they want to take their Bitcoin and use it on Ethereum for value.
Okay, yeah.
Right? And so what they do is wrap it. That's where the wrapped concept. There is no way to do this. This is what the whole 2021 was all about with all these places crashing. What they would do is you would have something like Ren BTC or wrapped BTC. These are all different wrapped versions.
Okay.
What you do is you would take your one Bitcoin, you would give it to this trusted party who promises they're going to keep it in this wallet and lock it.
There goes trustless.
There goes trustlessness. They're going to issue you, they've created this ERC20 token on Ethereum, and they call it WBTC, Wrapped Bitcoin.
Okay.
Right? Or Ren BTC. These were like the two popular ones. So you're giving it to a trusted entity. They're going to say, all right, you've given us one, so we will mint you a one wrapped Bitcoin. And now you can go on Ethereum and do whatever you want to do. And it's basically, think of it like a receipt for your Bitcoin.
Right.
Once you're done doing whatever you want to do, you can go back to that central entity and say, here's my wrapped Bitcoin.
Right. And
or now I got two wrapped Bitcoin.
And now there goes the permissionless.
Well,
because they have
it's
to
permissionless.
agree.
They have to agree to do it, yes. And you're hoping they're still around. What happens when they're not around?
Yeah.
Because it's not permissionless. It's not decentralized. It's not DeFi,
Right.
right? It's open
So-
finance, but it's not decentralized.
So they think they're being more safe by keeping the value in their Bitcoin, but essentially they're being less safe because of,
They're giving their Bitcoin away to somebody.
yeah.
And then they're getting this proxy Bitcoin in its place.
Yeah.
And if everything's on the surface good, sure, great. But what happens when things aren't good? If I have Bitcoin and I run it myself, I hold it myself, and I run my own node, if I do these two things, if I keep my own wallet and keep it secure, and I run my own node so I can check the blockchain myself, I don't have to trust anybody, I got my Bitcoin.
Right.
Same is true with Ethereum. Same is true for any of these tokens that fit these little rule sets, right?
Right.
If you run your own node and custody your own token, it's yours. There is no question. There is no debate. Nobody can take it. That's the censorship-resistant part. It's
Right.
yours.
Right.
As soon as you start playing these games with it, and in theory it's yours, but there's no guarantee. Somebody could take it from you.
Right.
And that's sort of what happens. And so when you hear about bridges, you mentioned bridges.
Yeah.
A bridge is a way to get one asset from one chain to another chain. I took my Ethereum, I traded that for Matic, which is already a side chain thing, and now I want to take that and swap it over to Avalanche so I could do some other thing with it, which is a whole nother chain. There's no way all of those chains directly talk to each other. They use bridges, and bridges are they're more decentralized versions of like how wrapped Bitcoin worked,
Okay.
but they're still centralized because a few people have keys to those bridges, right? So when I send my ETH over to Matic, right? If I would go from ETH to wrapped ETH on Polygon Network, which is the Matic token, right?
Okay.
And they're about to change their name, so that's all going to be different.
Oh my gosh.
But what at this block height was known as Polygon and Matic.
Yeah.
When I send my ETH to there, there's a small coalition of people I'm trusting that while I'm making that hop, they're going to do it. They're going to actually do the hop. So you heard there's like all these, like I think it's like billion. I can't remember the exact number. It's like $100 billion or something that was stolen over the past like 18 months in crypto.
Wow.
This is all done through bridges because you sent your money to the bridge, and as soon as your ETH or Bitcoin or whatever hit the bridge,
Yeah.
they either had a bug,
Yeah, the troll got it. The troll under the bridge.
but it either got hacked or it was a rug pull,
Yeah.
and they took it in the mist.
So the bridge was like a malicious operating thing.
Yes.
And stole the money.
And stole the money.
Wow, really?
That's how that all worked.
So like if I wanted to be like, oh, I can code and program, I'm gonna make a bridge, everybody send me your money and I'll send you whatever you want back. Oh, just kidding, it was a scam like that?
Yeah.
Wow.
Either you don't send them nothing, or you send them the wrapped thing, but you kept the real thing.
Right.
See, the whole concept of the wrapped thing
Right.
is that there's a real thing backing it up somewhere,
Right.
right?
Well, so they think.
Well, that's the concept.
Yeah.
Just like with stable coins and all that. There's a dollar backing up the dollar stable coin. There's an actual physical dollar sitting in a bank
So
account.
it's like going off of the gold standard for the kind of, you get this
Sort of.
receipt
There's something backing
and there
it.
might be something backing it or there might not be something backing it.
Right. What backs Bitcoin?
The energy put out or
Well, that's sort of yes. But the belief that
She's
Bitcoin,
too
the
good.
belief she's gotten good talking about her journey. Yeah, the belief that means something is what makes Bitcoin valuable.
Yeah.
Right? That's what gives it a price. People believe it, so therefore it is. Right? What backs wrapped Bitcoin?
the belief that their Bitcoin is still there when
Right.
when they turn their receipt in.
Exactly. So on a Bitcoin standard or an Ethereum based standard or on an Avalanche based standard on any of these native coins, all you need is people believe in the native blockchain for it to have some kind of value, right?
Oh, because you could sell the receipt even if
Well, there's no receipt. I own it. This is it. I can look on chain. This is the whole point of blockchain. No, not the wrapped, the original.
Oh, okay.
The original Bitcoin, the original ETH.
Right.
I can look on chain and see these are originals. I have them. As soon as you wrap them, now it's a receipt.
Right, okay.
And even in the most trustless world where there is no middle party, right, you still have a problem because if I have Bitcoin and I wrap it up into Ethereum, right, what happens if there's a bug on Ethereum? And Ethereum duplicate, like the fork. What happens when the fork happens?
And you've got a wrapped.
Now I have 2 wrapped Bitcoin, both with claims to this one real Bitcoin. Both of them can't get it.
Yeah.
Because Bitcoin doesn't give a shit, right? It's like I only got 1 Bitcoin right here in this, that one UTX set. This is it. 1 key controls this 1 Bitcoin. That's it. But there's 2 people who have access to it. Who gets it?
Whatever is declared for them to.
Whoever grabs it first.
Oh,
but it doesn't
real?
make it the rightful.
Oh, wow.
And now you have this
wouldn't
huge...
you have both sets? Wouldn't you have...
Theoretically, but what if they're all tied up in some DeFi shit? What if they're in a bridge that's getting rug pulled at the time? There's all these what ifs.
Yeah.
Right? And so this is the problem with interchain communication, right? Even if you found a way, because it's permissionless, how does any chain know anything? This is where Cosmos or Avalanche or the one I always forget the name.
Polkadot. I wrote it down. I wrote it down because I was like, he's going to forget it again.
Polkadot Polygon. And I don't know why. It's just the P's. Too many P. Too much P. Too much P in the pipeline.
Too much pee in the pool.
That's right. This is how they look at it, right? So a Cosmos system says, look we're not going to do all that. We're going to build the communication portal directly into the protocol. And so there isn't really this trusted party. All you have to do is understand the base code. Now, you got to believe in the base code and know that's there, but it's open source, so if you know what you're looking at or whatever.
Yeah.
But now, if you have a Cosmos-based system, and we both turn IBC on, the interchain communication protocol.
You don't have to do the bridges and the wrapping.
I don't need the bridge because it's built into the protocol. Or if you're doing Ethereum and you just believe in the whole all apps are on one chain thing. Yeah. We're not talking about layer 2. Well, even with true layer 2s, right? Which don't exist. There are no true layer 2s in Ethereum. There are a lot of things that call themselves layer 2s. None of them are really layer 2s.
I'll write that down for another show.
At this block height. That could be different in 5 blocks from now, but right now, it's true. How do you, if you're in the Ethereum system, Ethereum can verify all of that. If you're in the Cosmos system, if you're using Cosmos SDK, even though they're all different blockchains, if they all turn IBC on, you can swap tokens. You can do your Alice NFT for the Nate coin in a permissionless, trustless way, censorship-resistant way, because the chains are built to talk to each other. They all already speak the same language.
Okay.
They're just in different states. Just like if you live in Michigan, right, where we are in Detroit, we speak English, right?
Yes.
If you live in deep rural Louisiana, you also speak English. We don't sound the same, though.
Right.
Right? We sound different, but we can still communicate. Right?
Yeah.
We have a couple of different slang words, or the way we pronounce words are different, but we can communicate.
Yeah.
That's Cosmos.
Okay.
Cosmos to Bitcoin, that's you live in America and you're trying to speak to somebody who lives in
like Berlin.
Berlin or Czechoslovakia.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Like there is no commonality. You have a huge language barrier, and now you have to trust a translator. And there's a lot of problems when you got to trust a translator.
Yeah, so that's kind of what I was going to say. It sounds like the only way like Bitcoin or ETH could talk to other ones is by having the translator. But it's interesting that Cosmos has that built in that you could put the switch on and they can talk to each other with their different, like, let's say, dialect.
Mm-hmm.
And then that makes me think, one, why didn't Ethereum do that? And then two, is Cosmos going to be the standard for how, like, did they set a standard for how to solve that problem?
I think they're the first ones who really made the idea of an app chain popular. I'm not telling you they solved the problem.
Yeah.
Because there are still potential problems even with the IBC thing.
Yeah.
And Ethereum didn't think of it because they're not an app chain. They just believe there's a total fundamental difference in beliefs. In Ethereum, we have one community good, which is the Ethereum blockchain, and one source of truth in transactions, which is the ETH token. That is the truth. That is the universal truth. Because remember, it's all within the Ethereum blockchain. You can make ERC20 tokens. You can build these dApps, right? These decentralized applications, whether you have their own token or not. You can do all this, but they all work because every single thing you build in Ethereum trusts and utilizes the transparent Ethereum blockchain. And so if you're running some DeFi project on Ethereum L1 and you're running some NFT project on Ethereum L1 and you want to interact, you don't have to trust each other. Ethereum is validating that for you.
Right.
Right?
Right.
But that gets expensive, which is why fees take off. Cosmos is like, well, what if you didn't try to build everything on one platform? You let everybody build their own platform and build the communication into the platform so you don't have to have these trusted bridges. Right? And so the chains that are taking that approach, the three I know about are Cosmos, Polkadot, look at that, remembered, and Avalanche. And they all approach it a little differently, too. You know.
Okay.
They all believe in this sort of different approach in building this thing out. But they still have problems. Like, if I want to do something on Cosmos, that works great for Cosmos, but what if I want to do something from any of my Cosmos chains on Ethereum? That becomes another issue because now you have to build another bridge.
Yeah, but then that makes me think, like, why would you want to do that then?
Well, because let's say on Cosmos we find a way to do music NFTs.
Okay.
And it works really, really good, right? But now on Ethereum, it just mastered stablecoins. It's mastered how to do. They figured out, like, we go to DAI, right? Which is, if it goes back more towards its roots, it's I can't think of the word for it, but it's not backed by dollars, it's backed by Ethereum, right? So it's not a stable coin where you need a one-to-one of dollars. It uses this pool of goods, originally just Ethereum. So it was very decentralized and permissionless in that sense, unlike USDT or USDC.
Right.
Right? So let's say DAI. You have DAI, and that all of a sudden becomes the prevailing stable coin, right? So on Cosmos, I have music.
Yep.
On Ethereum, I have money.
Right.
I want to trade decentralized money for decentralized music.
Yeah.
How the hell do I do that? I'd have to find a way to bridge the two chains.
You couldn't like pay to a wallet?
What wallet?
I don't.
How does that wallet talk to it? Somehow you have to either trust an intermediary.
Yeah.
Or you have to teach the chain how to do languages, which is possible, but then you have, like, you could figure out decentralized bridges. There are some bridges that are more decentralized than others. I'll put it like that. I don't know that I would say there's decentralized bridges, but there are some that are much more decentralized than others, right?
Okay.
But you still have the problem of these chains are sovereign. What happens when one of the chains forks? Who does the bridge respect?
Because, like, you want to essentially, if I'm understanding correctly, your example, you're wanting to purchase music, but this music doesn't understand your money.
Right. And even if it
but
did,
it's still money. And
but even if it did understand your money, what happens when the money supply doubles? You don't have any control of that because it's not on your chain. Ethereum forks again, and now there's two of those.
doubling, you mean forking, kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or what happens when the music, let's say I bought rights to the music, right? So I'm supposed to get a share of every time. I'm supposed to get a royalty off of all the time the music. But the music chain splits.
Yeah.
Which one is the real song? Do I still have it? Maybe I have both of them, but if I'm doing these DeFi and these other things, or it's stuck in a bridge or something else, who gets what?
You're making me think so hard right now.
Sorry.
And I feel like I don't have the answers, and it's
You don't have the answers, and I will say this, I don't think anybody has the answer.
Yeah.
A lot of people have solutions,
Yeah.
but they don't have the answer. We don't know that any of them work.
Yeah.
It's a really hard problem, which is why it's not just solved and we just don't do it left and right. People do it, but you're making trade-offs, and I think we've done the episode on trilemmas.
Yeah.
So that's sort of that.
Is it a problem that's worth solving?
If you believe in that there's going to be a multi-chain world, yes. If you think there's going to be more than one blockchain and that there's utility in those blockchains being able to interact with each other in a trustless way, permissionless and censorship-resistant way, then yes, it's a problem we're solving. If you believe all blockchains except for your blockchain are garbage, and Bitcoin's ancient news, that's the AOL of the blockchain world, and Ethereum's too slow and expensive, and my chain is the one that solves all problems, and we don't need any other chains, then no, it's not an issue for you. Just live in your chain world and do what you do. It doesn't matter, they'll all die anyway.
That's very interesting. I never really thought of that before, because right now we're living in a multi-chain world, and as far as in the crypto sphere, but if one ecosystem can figure out the solution to all of these problems, then it will be a single chain world. Is that correct?
That would be correct. But now I want you to just do a thought experiment. You and all of you at home or wherever you are listening to this podcast, do this one simple thought experiment, right? Okay. Think of everything that ever was that you know about in all of time.
Right.
Now, out of all of those things you know about, how many times did only one ever happen? There's only been one Pepsi Cola. Nah. There's only been one retail store. Nah. There's only been one computer operating system.
Right. So, yeah.
There's not even one precious metal that we use. Gold is it. I got silver. I think silver is it. See, there's never one.
So then, blockchains do need to be able to talk to each other. So that needs to be.
I don't know if they need to talk to each other, but I don't know if I don't have the answer to that because I don't know how I feel about it purely to give a hard answer. My thing is, there's probably going to be more than one decentralized system that runs off of a blockchain or some kind of distributed ledger system, because blockchains aren't the only distributed ledgers there are, right? There's more than just blockchains.
What is there?
That's a whole nother episode.
Okay, what do I write down for that? Distributed ledgers. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm blowing my brain over here.
So maybe Bitcoin is it, and it will do its thing, and it's going to be around for, let's say, 5,000 years like gold is. It's not and it stays on blockchains. Let's say Ethereum figures things out, and it's going to be around for 5,000 years. But it's not really used for money. It's used for finance, DeFi, and trading NFTs and doing other things, right? The question is, how important is it for me to take my hard Bitcoin money, if that's the money winner,
right,
and be able to move that over into Ethereum because that's the value?
Yeah.
Do I need a way to do that in a permissionless, censorship-resistant way, or is that an area that I'm okay with? If I'm okay with because I'm already gambling. Once you play finance, if you're a hard money person, you probably don't even play finance.
Right.
Or you do a very archaic version of it that doesn't require Ethereum and those complex layers.
Because you're risk. You don't like risk.
Because it's risk. And even if you're not talking about Ethereum, if you're a Bitcoin purist and that's all it is, you'll even have layer 2s of Bitcoin. But if you're a hardcore purist, even the layer 2 is a sacrifice. Going from Bitcoin to Lightning Network, it's not really Bitcoin. Lightning Bitcoin is not Bitcoin.
Yeah, it's like Venmo version of.
It's better than that, but it's not the same thing.
Okay.
If it was the same thing, you wouldn't need Lightning, right?
Right.
So it's not the same thing. So if you're a Bitcoin purist, and it's like, I just want to keep you're the golem of the Bitcoin, like my precious.
Yeah.
You're not going to Lightning or any layer 2. You're keeping in that there. In that case, you don't even need any of that stuff. So I don't know what the right answer is, but if you're willing to give it up, if you're that person and you're willing to give it up at all, do you really care that it's done in a permissionless, trustless way? Or is that an area, I'm willing to give it up anyway, I'm willing to use an intermediary for that. I'm willing to take that risk.
So in that sense, well, why wouldn't somebody just like sell their Bitcoin, get whatever, like, I don't know, USD, and then buy Ethereum and do
That's what I'm saying. You're going to use an intermediary anyways. Maybe that's just the way it is. So maybe you don't need a trustless way. Maybe you just do a bridge, like, and not a DeFi, none of the bridges we're talking about, but like, you know, everybody accepts crypto all of a sudden. It's the way CBDCs fail or whatever. They're still there and they live in coexistence, whatever. I could take my Bitcoin, trade it for a central bank digital currency, and then take that and buy some Ethereum to do what I want to do over there.
If you have the permission to do so.
If they give you permission to do that, because I didn't jaywalk, so I haven't lost enough social credits.
Right, yeah.
Right? So yeah, I don't know, but you know, it's not like everything. There's still Bitcoin. This is why I always go back to Bitcoin. I'll say it again. If you've been listening to episodes, you've heard me say it before. Bitcoin is the most simplistic form of anything blockchain there is, right? It's simple. Anything not Bitcoin becomes more complex, right? Bitcoin hasn't figured out how to do Bitcoin fully yet.
Yeah.
We haven't mastered this.
Right. We haven't learned how to walk before we ran, kind of thing.
Yeah, like I don't know how to stack stones yet. But I'm building multi-level mansions.
Yeah.
Which would be like DeFi.
Yeah.
And it's like we've just jumped so far ahead of what we're technically really realizing. And nobody wants to believe that because, you know, number go up.
Yeah.
But I think Ethereum, regardless of how you feel about Ethereum, right? You can be pro-Ethereum, anti-Ethereum, whatever. Ethereum is the best working example we have of how complex things get. Ethereum changes its plans for how to address scalability and fees and everything else. Like, it's like, oh, sharding is the answer. No, that's not going to work. We're going to do this. Proof of work is the answer, but it's not really. We're going to really start off as proof of stake, but we're going to start with proof of work, but now we got to do this.
Yeah.
And some of the things they nail, going from proof of work to proof of stake, and they saw 0 bumps in that transition.
Yeah.
0. Besides, like, inventing Bitcoin and coming up with the concept of doing this in the first place, that's the greatest technological achievement in this space. The Ethereum merge.
Yeah.
Huge. Flawless.
Yeah.
But now they're in proof of stake and they have all this problem with liquid staking.
Oh, yeah.
And not only liquid staking now, but now you got like restaking.
Oh, boy. That's a new one.
It's a whole thing that even Vitalik comes out and is like, all right, this could probably be a problem.
Yeah.
Because it gets complex. We haven't figured out Bitcoin. And we're doing all these complex systems. So that's really my opinion. That's why I don't really have a strong opinion. Maybe we need it, but I'm a little traditionalist in that sense of like, let's figure out how this base stuff works for. If once Bitcoin's ossified, like, all right, we got it figured out. We're not making more changes.
Be a long time from now.
But that's if you're talking about speculating.
Yeah.
Right, and I want to make some more dollars to buy more house and get more goods, and I want to, Lambo and all this stuff. Yeah, it's too long because it's hard. You're speculating.
Yeah.
But if you believe in the foundational part, which is why I'm really involved, come for the riches, stay for the revolution. I'm here for the revolution part. No, it's cool because I'm not really doing it for me. I'd like to enjoy some of the benefits of it.
Yeah.
I sort of am now, but I'm doing it more for the kids and the grandkids and the grandkids' kids.
Yeah.
So it depends on why you're here. A long time for 4 generations isn't that long. If you think we're going to be around for 30 generations
Yeah.
or more. So that's what it is.
Lots to unpack there.
That's to unpack there. No real answers.
I know.
But that's as is life, right? You don't always get a solid answer. So chain-to-chain conversations, right?
Yeah.
Should blockchains communicate or share their secrets?
Potentially, depending on if you believe in a multi-chain world or a single-chain world.
Yeah, maybe. That's the answer.
Yeah,
maybe.
We're not sure yet. Check back in a couple more block heights.
Right. But at least now maybe you'll have a little more context to think around that solution. Besides that, it would really be cool, though.
Yeah.
Because a lot of things would really be cool, though, but as you start to think about them, like, is it worth it?
Yeah, that's interesting. I learned a lot. The thing about the bridges rug pulling people really kind of blew my mind.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go start a bridge. I'm just kidding.
Let me know, because I'll avoid it. I'll partner with you.
Yeah,
I'll avoid
right.
All right. So if you got more questions about this, maybe check us out on the block notes. We might have a couple extra questions for you to answer, or hit us up. Where can I hit us up at?
At The Blockument on Twitter, The Blockument on Facebook and YouTube, and theblockument.com.
Blockument.com. We'll have some links to some resources. I'll drop in some things about Polkadot, Cosmos, and Avalanche if they want. Yeah, see, I got it down now.
Remembered it again.
Yeah, check me tomorrow. If you want to learn more about how they're addressing the issue, we'll drop some links about atomic swaps, how they're addressing the issue, and any other couple little resources we have. And hit us up with questions and drop it in the comments or whatever, and we'll see what's what.
Yep.
Cool. All right, so that's it for now. And until next week, because we're weekly now, so next week, come for the riches.
Stay for the revolution.
Stay for the revolution. Peace.